Hi everyone, Cherise here. Welcome to this week's Agony Aunt, and it's a corker. Thank you so much for all of your messages. I'm really enjoying reading them, and I'm doing my best to address your issues in my posts, and I'm going to address something that's come up a lot in my messages today. And what came up in a lot of your messages is that you guys are just doing a lot. I made some notes. Someone wrote in and said, Cherise, I just spend my life doing stuff for other people. I love doing stuff for other people, but why does it always have to be me? I'm exhausted, and I'm also starting to get really irritated and frustrated. Right. Okay. So I know this is so many of us. This is all of us, I feel, on some level. And it is so important because we are doers. We get stuff done, and that's great. That's such a great character trait to have. But then there can also be the other side of it. So maybe we get really tired. Maybe we get overworked. We get overrun. We neglect ourselves. It's not super healthy. It's great that we're there for other people. Often, obviously, as parents, as workers, employers, employees, we have to do stuff. We have to turn up for our family. We have to turn up for our work obligations. But there are some of us for whom our personality type is such that we tend to take on too much. We tend to do too much, and people look to us to do it. And it becomes this expectation and just something that's quite normalized in our lives. And this creates a lot of mental and emotional health problems. A lot. So let's really break this down, because when we start talking about doing things differently, having self-care in our lives, putting ourselves first, what actually happens straight off the bat is people start having feelings about that. People feel guilty. They feel nervous to do it, but they also think, oh, I can't do that. Oh, that would be so selfish. That's not right. These people need me. I have to fulfill my obligations. Or if I don't do it, who will, etc., etc. And that's all good. So let me take you through it as I would a client, because this is a common theme that comes up. So first things first, self-care is really important. It's what we all need to do, because when we are looking after ourselves, we are then able to see to the things that we do need to do, and we're able to help and support and serve those that we do, but we do it from a full cup. And we also do it, as I always say, with an open heart and an open hand. Okay, so we're not kind of white knuckling it through, stressed, anxious, maybe a bit irritated, maybe a bit resentful that we're being called upon the whole time to be doing this stuff. But that actually we do it with an open hand. We're happy to do it. We're very open-hearted. We're generous, spirited in doing it. And we can do it because we have the reserves. We have the fuel in the tank to do it. So it's actually really important for us, if we are busy, if we do have a lot on, that we have to make sure that we who are doing it have enough fuel in the tank. We've got enough energy. We've got enough reserves to do what we need to do, to look after the people we need to look after. The sort of unhealthy thing that can happen with this is often we're looking after others first, and we'll get to ourselves at the end, and the end never happens, because when is there ever enough to be done? And by the time we get to ourselves, we're just exhausted, and we'll, just sleep lots, or watch trash telly, or eat too much, or drink too much, or just complain. And that is not the same as self-care. So first of all, self-care is actually the starting point for being there for others, ironically, is we have to be there for ourselves. So what does self-care look like? Self-care obviously looks like having boundaries, which I'm talking about more and more in my posts. So really thinking, and how I speak to my clients about boundaries in this regard is we have to set priorities. There have to be the non-negotiable things that we see to, whether it's our family, our kids, our partner, our work responsibilities. Okay, that's a given. That's a priority. So we see to all of those thoroughly, well, and calmly, first and foremost. Those are our priorities. Thereafter, everything else has to come with a little bit of a question mark. Do I have the emotional reserves to give to this? Can I give to this or this person with an open heart and an open hand? Or am I spreading myself too thin? Or am I likely to get resentful? Or if they don't show the necessary gratitude, I will get angry. This is where we have to know ourselves a little bit. If we're going to get resentful, if they don't acknowledge us enough or aren't appreciative enough or keep asking, that's a sign for us of like, okay, we're not giving with an open heart and an open hand here. We have an expectation. Okay, I'm going to do this, but then you need to do this. And that is not giving. That's transactional. That's something else. And this is when we're in danger of becoming the victim a little bit, or even the martyr, where it's like, oh, poor me, I did this and they didn't appreciate it, or I'm always called upon, etc., etc., as opposed to, I chose to do that. I take full responsibility for having chosen to do that. And whether or not they sort of respond in exactly the way that I need doesn't matter, because I chose to do that. That's on me. I take responsibility for my choices. I know it's a big mind shift, but it's really, really important. So those kind of boundaries have to become part of our lives, because without boundaries, we will overwork and we'll overservice and we will exhaust ourselves. And I work with, as you know, I specialize a lot in anxiety and stress, and I work a lot with people who've burnt out. Okay, and that is where we will be taking ourselves if we're not paying sufficient attention. We will burn out. And then we're no good to anyone, because we can't do anything. We're in bed, we can't work, we can't socialize, we can't do anything. It's, the body speaks in that moment and says, thanks for all the care you've given me. I now need 6 months to recover. So stress-related illness is very, very serious, and something that keeps that going is us in our busy lives, taking care of others, being over-involved, taking on too much, and thinking that we can't do anything about it. It's kind of, that's what I'm saying. It's like, if we don't do something about it, the body will take over. And that's when we have chronic pain, that's when we have fatigue issues, that's when we're constantly ill and have to take to our beds for a few days. That's our body saying, that's our body doing for us what we can't really do for ourselves in our everyday choices. The body says, okay, I'll make the choice for you. You're going to be in bed sick for a few weeks. So we have to, I think, be very serious about taking ownership for this. Where we put our time, the choices that we make, it's really, really important. So we have to have priorities. We have to think about what's the most important thing. And sometimes we can be in precarious situations where bad stuff might happen if we're not super involved and overseeing and this and that and whatever. And what I say to my clients is, and this is actually, I think, something that they talk about in Al-Anon is, we're always spinning plates, spinning plates, spinning plates. And actually sometimes we need to let a few plates crash. Because if we keep on doing that, we will exhaust ourselves, we will burn out, etc. But also what that does is it invites other people to come in. I'd love you to invite other people to come in and say, hey, I actually need some help. Or I can't do that, I'm overworked as it is. Let's ask someone else to do that. By letting other people come in, that is actually a much more balanced and mature and healthy way of being equal with people. Because sometimes in our overdoing and the slight codependency of being in control the whole time of everyone and everything, we're in danger of going into a little bit of a superior sort of state of mind. Where, oh, well, I'm so important, I'm the only one that can do this, I'm super special, I'm the VIP around here. It's quite an unconscious process. I'm not saying that's literally what you're thinking, but that's kind of what's driving this as well. So in a way, we need to right-size ourselves. Hang on, I'm just a human among humans here. We all have our strengths and we all have our limitations. So let someone else pick up the slack. Let's see what happens if I'm not so available. Let's see if I don't just immediately jump in and take charge. Let's see if someone else can step up. And that might be really good and healthy for them. And then sort of some dynamics in families and in work organizations can actually be healthier and more balanced. So look, these are just some things to challenge you, really. I want to challenge because it's a mindset, this, of who we are in the world and who we present to the world. We can still be really responsible people and we can still be great leaders in our families and in our communities. However, this idea of us putting ourselves last and everyone else and everything else before us, we really need to challenge that. Because actually it takes great self-esteem to look after oneself and then go into the world from that place. So I hope you can take some of my challenge and let me know your thoughts, because this is a big subject and maybe I'll do some posting around it. Okay, thanks so much, and as ever, keep your letters and messages coming. I'm really enjoying them, and I'll see you next time.